Hi, I'm Emily too, and I'm going to be presenting today on Competency 3. This is the teacher communicates with and obtains feedback from students in a manner that enhances student learning and understanding. And this time I was smart and I wrote backwards. And so now you guys can see what I'm talking about, unlike the last video. So I wanted to do this competency because we've been talking very heavily about it in another course that I'm taking this semester, Curriculum and Assessment. And so one of the things that we've talked about is the difference between summative and formative assessment and all that entails. Previous to taking this course, I did not know that there was really a difference between the two. Or that there were two different types of assessment, especially coming from the college undergrad that I came from. There really is no formative assessment, or at least I didn't experience any in college, especially in the science and the math department, because it was, here's some information and then you take a test and do you know it or not. There's no way of gauging if you know it up until the point of that summative assessment that you don't do on your own. Okay, so I would like to talk about formative assessments. So formative assessments are a really great tool that we can use to figure out where students are and help them get to where we want them to be before that summative assessment. The best way to do this is to do it often. So we can help to the redirect students. We can also figure out what we need the students to do in order to get to that point where we want them. And without doing continual, often formative assessments during a unit, we'll never get to the point where we know where the students are until we get to that summative assessment, and they could be very far off. So this is a way to continually redirect, to continually be understanding where our students are, what they understand, and what they don't understand. Formative assessments, oddly enough, I guess it's self-explanatory, but they really prepare for that summative assessment, because if we can get the students to understand the formative, then the summative will be no big deal. So a couple examples of formative assessments, ones that I hope to use in my classroom, are bell work and exit tickets. These are very easy, fast ways of gauging where students are and how we can help them get to where we want them to go. Another thing that I kind of picked up on with this competency, and that is rubrics. So rubrics are something that, I never really looked at. Even when I used them in high school and college, they were just an added piece of paper. I didn't really understand them. It was just something that went along with the assignment. But through learning a little bit more about rubrics and what they're supposed to be, they really state the expectations. They establish the expectations for the student, and they're a very organized tool for doing so. I never thought this way until I actually learned how to read a rubric, and really what a big deal that they are. They're a very, very organized tool for establishing what kind of expectations and standards you have for a student in an assignment, a group project, a presentation, anything. So one thing I think that's very important for using rubrics is explaining to students how they matter and actually using them as that tool, because too often I find that, the grade doesn't really depend on the information in the rubric, or at least that's how I felt when I partook in these assignments. So those are a couple of ways, rubrics and formative assessments, of obtaining communicating with students and obtaining feedback from them. So I didn't hit as much on obtaining feedback from students, but there are multiple ways of doing that as well. We can ask for exit surveys, things like that, to judge how we're doing and how we are getting to students. And I feel like if we are doing a good job with our formative assessments and having feedback given to students during that time, then it opens up a gate so that communication can happen between teacher and student at that point. It just doesn't have to be at that end of course test. It can be anywhere in between when we try and recorrect or redirect the student to a certain point. They can also talk to us. So I think formative assessment can open up that doorway into being able to have very good student and teacher communication throughout the entire process. So thanks for watching.